James McAvoy is one of the most popular actors in Hollywood right now, and with good reason. He's starred in some of the biggest blockbusters in recent memory, including X-Men First Class, Split, and Atomic Blonde. But could he be making a secret cameo in the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars movie? Rumors are starting to circulate that he may have filmed a scene for the film, but McAvoy has been tight-lipped about it so far. In this video, we will look at his response to the rumors and his thoughts on where his X-Men franchise went wrong. First up, James McAvoy opens up about the X-Men franchise. James McAvoy has never held back when expressing his thoughts and feelings towards the X-Men film franchise, particularly following the conclusion of the most recent entry in the series. In a recent interview with GQ, he shared his thoughts on the various aspects of the show that did not live up to the standards that were set for it, instead of focusing on how the characters developed through time. As McAvoy believes most important, one should pay attention to the growth of the tale. He believes that the writers shifted their attention to making spectacle rather than studying the links between the individuals, which caused the story's focus to change. This is especially clear in the two films that have come out in the most recent years, both of which have garnered poor reviews from fans and critics. Now for the problems with the last two installments and what went wrong. The last two installments of the X-Men franchise were problematic for several reasons. First and foremost, the films were excessively dark and gritty, a stark contrast from the lighthearted and fun tone of the first four films. Additionally, the plots were convoluted and nonsensical, and the villains were underdeveloped and uninteresting. Finally, the characters were not treated well, and the development arcs of beloved characters such as Charles Xavier were rushed or ignored entirely. Next, McAvoy's thoughts on Charles Xavier and his character development. McAvoy had a lot to say about the evolution of the character Charles Xavier when he talked about his time acting as the character in the X-Men movies. In particular, he mentioned that Xavier's relationship with Magneto was a key focus in First Class, and that it was essential to illustrate how both characters developed throughout the film. He also mentioned that Magneto was a major antagonist. McAvoy claimed that when they were in First Class, Xavier was a naive hippie, but as time passed, he became more aggressive in his beliefs. He thought that the character needed to be altered in this manner to be more intriguing, and he noted that it was also symbolic of the times. McAvoy commented, "Imagine Charles at the beginning of the story as a very innocent hippie. He gets this wonderful picture of humans and mutants living together in harmony, but then he gradually learns that this may not be feasible because humans fear mutants. He is disappointed by this realization, therefore he needs to become more authoritarian and violent to try to coerce people into complying with his vision." In the end, McAvoy thinks that Xavier's character arc is one of development. He believes that Xavier goes from being romantic and hopeful to someone willing to take extreme measures to attain his objectives. McAvoy found it interesting to play Xavier's progression, and he believes that it helps to make him one of the most nuanced characters in the Marvel Universe. Finally, what the future of the X-Men franchise could look like. The course the X-Men series will take in the coming years is unclear. It is difficult to predict where the series could go from here because the previous two installments have been met with critical and commercial negative reception. However, there are a couple of different scenarios that could play out. One possibility would be to concentrate on creating new mutants. This has occurred in the comics in the past, and incorporating it into the series may be an interesting way to shake things up. Exploring the X-Men of the next generation, such as Cable and X-23, is yet another avenue that may be pursued. The more established characters, such as Professor Xavier and Magneto, would be able to recede into the background as a result of this. A third approach would be to investigate the evil side of the X-Men universe once more. This was alluded to in Apocalypse and may be addressed further in subsequent films. Last but not least, there's still the chance that Fox will start the series all over again from scratch. It has already been accomplished with Spider-Man and Batman, so it's not completely out of the question for the X-Men to do the same thing. Observing how the X-Men series develops over the next few years will be fascinating regardless of what transpires. James McAvoy on where his X-Men franchise went horribly wrong. James McAvoy talks about Professor X's potential role in the MCU. In an interview, James McAvoy was recently asked about Professor X's potential role in the MCU. McAvoy stated that he often dismisses such questions because he believes he needs to move on to other projects. However, he also said that he would love to work with Marvel head Kevin Feige, and that he's a huge fan of the MCU. Whether McAvoy will appear in the MCU remains to be seen, but it's exciting to think about. He's an incredible actor and would undoubtedly bring his signature style to the role of Professor X. And now, McAvoy says he often dismisses similar questions because he believes he needs to move on to other projects. In a new interview with GQ magazine, McAvoy has finally given a definitive answer, one that likely won't please many of his fans. McAvoy gave a blunt response when asked if Marvel head Kevin Feige had called him about a potential role in the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars saga. Quote, "I usually just say F no," he told the magazine. "I think I need to move on from X-Men. It's not surprising that McAvoy is eager to move on from the X-Men franchise. His appearance in Dark Phoenix was met with mostly negative reviews from fans and critics alike, and with Disney's acquisition of Fox, it's unclear what the future holds for the X-Men characters. So it seems that Professor X won't appear in the MCU after all, at least not anytime soon. McAvoy may have ended his tenure with the X-Men on a low note, but at least he can say he went out with a bang." Next, the X-Men prequel franchise's James McAvoy finally addresses if his version of Professor X will appear in the MCU. Suppose you're a fan of the X-Men film franchise. If this is the case, then you have seen James McAvoy in the role of Professor X before. McAvoy appeared in the film X-Men First Class in 2011 and has since reprised the part of the same character in each of the film's 3 sequels. However, we saw that McAvoy was in the movie Dark Phoenix, which came out in 2019 and received various reactions from critics and audiences alike. So are we going to see Professor X played by McAvoy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Nothing but time shall tell, but thinking about how well liked the character is, it's not out of the question at all. Next, fans are curious to see how the X-Men will cross over with the Avengers and whether or not Professor X will be involved. There have been rumors that Marvel is aiming to cast James McAvoy in a role for their upcoming film, Avengers Secret Wars. Although McAvoy is not yet confirmed on whether or not he will be playing the role, the actor is well known for brushing off inquiries of a similar nature in the past. It is not yet clear how the X-Men and the Avengers will interact with one another, but many people believe that Professor X will play some part in bridging the gap between their respective universes. Next, the two franchises have been rivals for years, but a crossover could finally bring them together. Both franchises have been fighting against one another for revenue at the box office, with each side attempting to outdo the other. Nevertheless, a crossover has the potential to, at long last, bring the two universes together and unite them. This would be a significant event, and both camps would root for themselves to emerge victorious. However, the MCU has a big advantage over the X-Men because they have access to a significantly larger cast of well-known characters than they have. It would be a tremendous triumph for Marvel if they could convince James McAvoy to appear in Avengers Secret Wars, because Professor X is one of the most beloved characters in the X-Men franchise. Finally, only time will tell what happens with the future of these iconic characters. It is currently unknown whether or not James McAvoy will reprise his role as Professor X in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, and it is also unknown how the X-Men's universe will intersect with that of the Avengers. Some fans are skeptical about how well everything will turn out, but only time will tell what the future holds for these well-known superheroes. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. And while you're down there, please don't forget to leave a like and comment below, letting us know what you think. We love hearing from you. And we'll see you in the next video.